What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Level Up Classics, and today we are going to be flushing the brakes on the BMW E46 M3. In our last video, we got the car jacked up, and if you need a refresher, check that out in my previous videos. Also, just a caveat, none of my videos are sponsored, and I'm just sharing my experiences with you. And there's more than one way to do many of these things that I'm trying to demonstrate in my videos. Now that I got that out of the way, let's go! For our brake flush today, we're going to be using Motul RBF 600. It's a .4 and it has excellent performance properties, and we're going to be using our Motive Power Bleeder. It's the Black Label edition, and we're going to be using the dry method. Also, make sure you get yourself an oil catch pan. So first, we need to get the area ready, and I like to cover the engine area with a cloth in case we spill or drop something. The cloth will catch it, and it'll save us some trouble. Using needle nose pliers to remove the plastic screen filter in the master cylinder. The plastic screen filter keeps large pieces of debris from getting into the reservoir, and this thing has 3 little nubs around it that lock it in place. Once you remove the reservoir screen filter, give it a nice cleaning and get all that old dirt and grime off of it. And we have a big fluid syringe to suck out the old fluid in the reservoir. You can also use a turkey baster, but this syringe gets a lot more out of it than a baster. You can see I do this a number of times, and it gets quite a bit of fluid out. And also, it's really convenient that this syringe is pretty flexible, and you can get deeper inside the reservoir in the little crevices. And now, here I'm just checking to see how much fluid is still in there. I got a little light to shine inside there. I saw a little bit more fluid that I can reach, so I sucked out a little bit more fluid. Now to refill the reservoir, we put in the clean screen filter, and we grab our funnel just so we don't spill. We're now going to fill it a little bit above the max line because we're going to be flushing our system and pushing a lot of the old fluids out. During the flushing process, make sure you don't go too low so that air gets introduced into the brake system, and make sure there's always fluid in the reservoir. When it's dark, it's kind of hard to see in the reservoir how much fluid that you have, so you can use a light to also illuminate the area, and you'll kind of see the shadow of where the fluid is. Finally, we're ready to flush the brakes. All that process was just to prepare for this brake flush. Here we're using the Motive Power Bleeder Black Label. Black Label just pretty much means that it has the better aluminum adapter, and it rotates, which is really nice too. All you do is put the cap on and start pumping. I like to go to 15 psi, and this will act like someone's inside your car pushing on the brakes. So I'm here using the dry method, and I like to use the dry method because it's clean and mess free. Now we go to the brakes. We're going to start with the furthest away from the master cylinder, which is the rear passenger side brakes. I start off by cleaning the area. I use a little bit of brake cleaner. I don't want to introduce dirt particles or other grimy stuff, so a little bit of cleaning is always good. Using a 9mm flare nut or a wrench, break the drain nipple loose so you can easily open and close it. I have a BAV fluid catch bottle. This thing's pretty nice too. It keeps things a little bit more mess free. And it has a nice little hook where you can just hang the bottle. You can also just use a tube and shove it all in the nipple too, but I prefer using the catch bottle. It has a nice hook to hang. Now, let the fluid flow into the catch bottle and you'll notice that the dark fluid's going to come out, the old dark fluid, and then it's going to get lighter for the newer fluid. Let it keep running until you see the nice clean fluids, and you'll see dirt particles in there as well. Last, tighten back up the nipple and clean the area once more, and then it's time to move on to the next brake. Next, we move on to the rear driver side. Repeat the process again. Clean the area, loosen the nipple, attach the bottle, drain the fluid, close the nipple back up, clean the area again, and move on to the front passenger side. You can see this is a easy but tedious process, and this part goes much quicker. Just to give you an idea of how much fluid I used to flush the system, I was able to fill the reservoir to above the max level line, and by the time I finished flushing the brakes, I ended up right at the low level. So that should give you an idea of how much additional fluid is going to come out of the system. After the passenger side is the last side is the front driver side. Remember, the rule of thumb is always start with the furthest brake and make your way closer to the master cylinder. This pretty much applies to all cars as you change the brake fluids. After you drained all the brakes, it's time to release the motive power bleeder.
Here's a look at how much fluid that we drained out of the lines. And next, I'm going to show you how much fluid we drained out of the master cylinder. You can take a look, we're about at the low line.
After you've drained all the brakes, it's time to release the motive power bleeder. Slowly loosen the power bleeder so that the air can escape. Go very slow so the cap doesn't just pop off. I also just put a little downward pressure in case it does want to pop off. Now to finish the brake flush, we refill the brake reservoir with our .4 fluid. You can repeat this process if the old fluid was just really bad and you want to flush it again. But the rule of thumb is just change your brake fluid every 2 years. Most people don't ever do this, or they wait many long years before they do this. After you've refilled your brake fluid to the max line, you're all done. You can button back up your car and bring it back down to the ground. And if you need a refresher on that, check out my last video where I demonstrated raising and lowering your E46. If you found this video helpful, click on the like button and subscribe to my channel for more content coming soon. Thanks for tuning in, and keep leveling up.